So I don't get it. They never found the dragon.
What are you talking about?
The movie, it's called Way to the Dragon.
No, it's called Way of the Dragon.
Oh, so it's a metaphor?
Oh my God.
Welcome back to the Out of Touch Podcast. I'm Chris, that's Bill, and today we're watching Way of the Dragon from 1972, starring Bruce Lee and directed by Bruce Lee.
And written by Bruce Lee.
Indeed. So Bill, what did you think of Way of the Dragon?
Definitely a little different than I thought it would be, but then it turned into pretty much what I thought it would be.
This is a movie that I've seen one particular scene of many times.
The Chuck Norris fight?
And nothing else.
Yeah, I've probably seen some of the other, like the nunchuck bits maybe, but yeah, I think most people, this movie is most famous for the big final fight where Bruce Lee fights Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
It's legend versus icon. It's like a WrestleMania dream match.
Yeah.
Like this would main event any pay-per-view.
It's also Chuck Norris without a beard.
Yeah, he's got hair everywhere but his face.
I know. Just like, man. Yeah, you know, like watching this movie and just like, you know, the era of the 70s, it's just like, man, it's funny when you see like tough guys in the 70s because they're all like wearing like bell bottoms, like tucked in shirts and big belt buckles and like plunging V's with hairy chests. And I'm just like, I was born in the wrong decade. I could pull that off. If I let things get out of control, it would be so easy.
What? Okay.
But anyway.
Whatever you say, pal.
But Way of the Dragon. Yeah, this movie is kind of strange.
You know, Bruce Lee, it was a first-time director. So.
Yeah. Just in general with the way it begins, too, where he's, like, at the airport, and I'm kind of like, what the hell's wrong with him? And then, like, I finally realized, like, oh, he doesn't speak English. Like, when he goes up to the kid and, like, points to his mouth, and I was just like, what the heck is up with this guy? And I'm just like, okay, he's hungry. He doesn't speak English. Okay, I get it now.
Well, you know, he's in Italy, so he doesn't speak Italian.
That's true.
It's a little confusing watching the dub of this movie because everyone's just speaking English, even though it's like, you know, maybe in the dub, you could have like Bruce Lee and stuff speaking English, but then the other guys maybe speak Italian. So the language barrier that clearly is still existing within the confines of the story and the dub could still exist instead of everyone just speaking English, but like the guy is translating in English from English.
Here's the thing. I didn't run into that problem because I didn't watch the dub because I don't know why I thought the movie was going to eventually be in English, and I was too far into it to just like stop because like, you know, there were some characters that would speak English, and then I realized like, oh, they're not going to just speak English in this movie. And I don't know. It was fine watching it like subtitled.
I mean, I thought about doing the subtitles, but I was just like, I just didn't feel like reading.
Yeah.
So when I have the Criterion version, as you.
Yes.
And I went to the audio settings and I was just like, all right, original English dub, Japanese English dub. The hell does that mean? I played both of them. They sounded the same to me. It seemed like the same dub. I was like, why is this here then? So I spent like 10 minutes on my phone just like looking, like scrolling around. And then I found out it's like, oh yeah, in the Japanese English dub, it still has Bruce Lee's like yelling and stuff for the fights and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, obviously I want to watch that version.
Yeah.
That explains why that's there. It's like, it's basically the same dub except for the Bruce Lee yells.
Okay.
And if you're going to watch a Bruce Lee movie, yeah, you want to hear those yells.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I just watched like the original like version at this time.
Clearly.
Because I was just like too far into it. Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know, the movie takes place in Rome, which is like a kind of unique setting for a martial arts movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Then again, like, I was just like, oh yeah, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris fought in the Coliseum.
Which is kind of awesome.
It is cool.
The biggest fights of all time have happened in the Coliseum. Russell Crowe versus Joaquin Phoenix. Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris. What'll be next?
But yeah. A lot of these martial art movies sometimes come down to like gangsters trying to take over like a restaurant or like land from like somebody. And in this, it's just like, it's kind of cool seeing like Bruce Lee fight like, I guess like the Italian mafia for a change.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you know, the triads.
They had some Chinese guys working for him.
Yeah, of course. There's always the like spineless like, you know, guy who has portrayed his like countrymen.
I mean, not only was he spineless, he was just extremely effeminate.
Yeah, that too.
My favorite part of the fact that he's fighting Italian guys is when he finally whips out the nunchucks and he beats the crap out of all those guys. And probably my favorite fight in the movie outside of the Chuck Norris fight is that the one guy tries to run away. He's like, "Mamma mia!"
Yeah, that's how you know. Where it's just like, oh yeah.
That just made me laugh.
I do like when the one gangster picks up like the other nunchuck and like tries to use it. I'm just like watching him. I'm like, he's gonna hit himself in the face. He's gonna hit himself in the face. I know it. And there he goes.
Yep. Oh man, when Bruce Lee whipped out the one nunchuck, I was like, oh, it's on. And then he whipped out a second one. I'm like, oh my god.
He's got 2 nunchucks. This is why Great Britain was afraid of nunchucks.
He's so good with them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's funny. Like it's funny too because like, you know, Bruce Lee's, you know, associated with nunchucks, and then, you know, watching one of the supplementals to this movie, it's like nunchucks are not even a Chinese weapon.
No, they're not. They're Japanese.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was just like, wow.
I mean, the movie actually does showcase, because he has like a couple lines about it, how Bruce Lee liked the fact that it's like, no, why should I just learn one type of fighting style? There's stuff in all types of fighting styles that I think could be worthwhile.
Yeah.
He's considered like one of the godfathers of mixed martial arts because of that.
Yeah, definitely. He took a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
What he liked.
Yeah, nunchucks.
Yeah. I mean, nunchucks are cool.
I mean, they're very flashy. They look cool on camera because of that.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, you know, this is very much like, you know, kung fu versus karate in this movie.
Not really.
Well,
Those guys, there's like a little with the guys who like they're practicing karate and then they see his kung fu and they're like, oh, that's cooler.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because, like, you know, Bruce
I
Lee,
guess
I guess Bruce Lee, you know, he uses his own style, the Jin Kwon Do or whatever he calls it, but, like, it's like, you know, kind of like kung fu versus karate.
I guess he does fight the karate guys at the end.
Yeah, like they're wearing the gis and they
which
have
is
the
so
black
silly.
belts and
Which is
stuff.
so silly looking.
Yeah, but they're karate guys.
I know. That's how you like. This was like from like a weird time where it's like the only way you can know they're karate guys is if they're in their karate gis.
Indeed.
It's so weird.
I don't know. Like karate is like kind of more of like a, you know, like a hard stance type of martial arts, where like kung fu like is like more, I guess, like energetic, at least the way it's like compares in this movie, where I don't know, you know, there's nowhere really like in America you can learn karate a lot of places, but I don't think you can learn kung fu that many places.
Not that I've seen. I've seen Brazilian jiu-jitsu places, but that's about it.
You can learn jiu-jitsu, you can learn karate, you can learn taekwondo, but like I never see like kung fu.
Yeah. And then just general MMA.
Yeah. But I don't know, kung fu is unique.
You know, there's like a Buddhist monastery not far from here. Do you think they're practicing kung fu in secret?
Man, that would be awesome if they were. Just like, oh man. It's an interesting movie because, you know, Rome, of all places. And, you know, that one line that in the supplemental material on the Blu-ray, which I guess support physical media, you get cool stuff, referred to this movie as a spaghetti Eastern, which I was like, I guess that kind of makes sense.
And how Bruce Lee was trying to like use this movie and stuff to maybe get the attention of Hollywood, and it worked because Enter the Dragon happened.
Yeah. But, yeah, you know, it's interesting because, you know, it's Italian mobsters shaking down this guy for his restaurant. But
Girl. It's her restaurant,
That's
technically.
right. It's not Uncle Wang's restaurant.
No, because as we find out, he's totally down for getting rid of it.
Yeah.
He wants the money.
He does.
He's evil.
He sucks.
He
kills 2 guys.
That came out of nowhere.
It really did.
I was like, holy crap.
So evil.
There's only like 8 minutes left in this movie. Holy shit.
Yeah. But, you know, the highlight of this movie are definitely like the fights. A good chunk of the fights take place in the back alley of the restaurant.
Yeah, most of them do, if I'm being honest.
Which is fine, you know. Get a fight with, like, you know, the bow staff. Nunchucks, which is cool. Just him, like, murking people.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, every Bruce Lee movie should have a nunchuck scene. I don't know if they all do.
Most of the ones I've seen have. So.
I mean, there's only 2 other ones, so.
That's true.
I guess I'll see at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
At least in terms of martial arts movies. He might have appeared in a couple dramas or whatever, but.
Maybe.
Bruce Lee's only remembered for these movies, really.
It's like Bruce Lee and, oh man, Macbeth? Okay, that's weird.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. It'd be pretty cool.
I'm actually kind of intrigued.
He just fights the witches with nunchucks.
Yeah, I want to see Bruce Lee try his hand with the sword.
There you go.
See how that? Why not?
Yeah.
Let him change it up. Let the man use a broadsword.
It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, probably could have done some cool stuff with a broadsword. I bet.
Yeah. But, you know, this movie has, like, some, like, things in it that are just kind of, like, very, I guess, of the time, like, with, like, kind of, like, the musical cues and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
it was very weird 70s, 60s type music.
Yeah, which is, like, I guess, like, Bruce Lee did some of the music for this movie, too, apparently, which, like, that's what was said, like, the one guy being interviewed on the, you know, Blu-ray. So I was just like, man, he was, like, too talented. But probably was spinning a few too many plates. Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with having somebody doing some of the other stuff.
Yeah. But it's interesting, you know, when you know, the big thing of this movie is the Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee in the Coliseum, which is pretty cool.
And it's very much like, it's kind of a retroactive thing. I mean, yeah, obviously it's the big fight at the end, but nobody knew who Chuck Norris was. He got a little more famous later. So it's sort of like, oh shit, there's a movie where Bruce Lee fights Chuck Norris? Holy crap!
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of this movie was, like, people that were in this movie were just, like, legitimate, like, martial artists and stuff.
Yeah, the credits, they list, like, their ranks and stuff.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting and cool. Like,
yeah.
You know, it was just, like, very much like he had full creative control, and he's just like, I'm just going to, like, make this movie my way. But, you know, the Coliseum fight is interesting because there's, like, a ton of, like, little kittens running around.
I thought it was just one kitten.
There's a couple, but, like, they just keep zooming in on this one kitten. I wonder if that was like, hey, there's a cat here. Film it. It's cute.
People like adorable kitties. We got kung fu and kitties.
Yeah, like, and I don't know if it was, like, intentional or what. Like, well, I mean, obviously it was intentional, but, like, I don't know if it was, like, planned or if it was, like, there's a cat here. Film it.
I don't know.
Because, like, they have the cat almost, like, looking at them both when they're doing, like, the zoom-ins on the faces.
They zoom in on the cat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could have been planned. Because the movie is a little silly in places. So maybe that was like, you know, the third act's getting a little dramatic. Let's add a little kitty.
Yeah.
A different filmmaker probably would have been like, no, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, it does have some, like, silliness in it where he, like, orders all the soups and then
has to pee for like 2 days straight.
Yeah, and then there's the one scene where he's, like, in the bathroom and he, like, literally jumps up onto the toilet to, like, do, like, the squatty potty type of poop. and some guy looks at him and he just, like, closes the door.
It's like, why didn't you close the door first, Bruce?
Yeah. He's just like, no, I want everybody to see this. But yeah, you know, one of the moments of this fight between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris I always remember is when he, like, rips out the chest hair. Just, like, that was, like, the first thing I saw when I first saw, like, a video of this movie, and I was like, oh, whoa. I'm like, I wonder if he did that for real.
Nah, he clearly didn't.
Yeah.
I think if he did it for real, we would have been able to tell.
I don't know. Chuck Norris had a lot of hair, Bill.
I don't know. It just didn't seem like he did it for real.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think he did.
But it is kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, it's a funny moment for the movie,
Yeah.
but I don't think he actually did it.
You know, the fight's paced really good, but one thing, I guess, jumping around is, like, towards the end with him, like, breaking Chuck Norris's neck and kind of, like, doing it reluctantly. I don't know why, but it kind of made me think of Man of Steel a little bit with, like, Zod.
He wouldn't stop.
Yeah. Like,
he gave me no choice.
Yeah, because, like, it's like he wasn't going to quit, even, like, though, like, his leg was broken.
Yeah.
And, like, his wrist was all, like, messed up. And then it's just like, don't make me do this.
And then, like, he took the gi and he laid it over him.
Yeah, with the belt and everything.
He like, respected him in the end.
Yeah. But, like, I was kind of, like, thinking of, like, the Man of Steel thing. And I was like, oh, man, if he screams at the end, I'm going to be like, Zack Snyder copied this. But he didn't scream at the end.
Nah. You know what's funny? There's the moment with the guy in, like, the girl's apartment that with the gun, and he, like, throws, like, a dagger or whatever, and he kicks the crap out of him. I thought he killed that guy.
Yes, so did I.
I heard a neck snap.
Yeah.
But then he's just fine. He's just kind of beat up, and he's like, oh, my head.
It was a sprain.
He sprained his neck.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was just cartilage.
Because I'm like, I thought he killed him, and then just like when he threw him in the hallway, I'm like, you're just gonna throw a dead body in the hallway? But then he was not dead.
It's fine. It's Italy. you know, it's a weird country. Random strange women will take you home and just appear naked.
That was a lady of the night, Chris. He was a stupid foreigner. That was the joke.
I know.
He didn't understand that he was being...
Hi. Like, it's just like, oh, you're a client.
He didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's a country bumpkin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because this movie, at least in the first act, is kind of silly.
Yeah, it is. It's a very different movie than I thought it was. You know, I would say, like, you know, I definitely like Enter the Dragon more than this movie, and the previous one we watched a little bit more, Fist of Fury, but...
It took all my self-control not to punch you while saying it.
Oh, man. That's right. I should have remembered. But maybe there's a reason why I don't remember, Bill.
Trauma?
Yeah.
It's okay, Chris. It's okay.
But I still liked it, you know. It was just, like, different and weird. Like...
I mean, you know, that's what happens when you give someone carte blanche to do whatever they want when they've never done something like this before.
Probably shouldn't have watched it completely in Chinese, but, like, I just, for some reason, was just like, well, surely he'll learn how to speak English through the movie, and then
I mean, in fairness, I think it would have played better the way you watched it than the way I watched it, because, like I said, you got people translating for other people, but everyone's just speaking English.
That's true.
Even though, like, you know, you could have just had the bad guys speaking Italian, because it's clear that they're not supposed to be able to understand each other, but they're just both speaking English, and then you got like Bruce Lee gesturing like this and stuff, and it's just like, well, I guess they just kind of lazily just like, just dub the whole thing.
Yeah. Just funny, like I guess it's different for my version, but like the few moments where like Bruce Lee like talks English is all like for comedy. Like there's like the moment where like they just have the big fight in the alley of the restaurant, and then like some people actually come to the restaurant to eat, and like he opens the door and like almost kicks them in the face, and he's like, oh, hello, welcome. like that's a pretty good moment. You know, it's funny too. He like sharpens all those chopsticks and makes those darts and just throws them at people. And
he's got to counter all those guns somehow, because once the guns come out, he's like, oh crap.
I mean, there's a moment in like the movie where he even asks like the one girl, he's like, "What? Why don't you just get a gun?" And she's like, "Well, you need to get a license." And he's like, "Oh, okay." Like,
oh please, you could get a gun if you really needed one.
Well, it's Italy. It's different. It's not America.
You can't. There's criminals getting guns somehow.
Yeah, but they're criminals, Bill.
So?
They're trying to be law-abiding citizens in this movie.
Yeah, but you know they're getting accosted to a point where they had to send away to China for a kung fu master to come fight their battles for them.
That's true. They're always asking him to stuff about Hong Kong, and he keeps saying like in the movie like he lives in the new territories, and I'm kind of like wondering like what exactly does that mean, because like I don't know too much about like China, so like when he says like new territories, I'm like, I wonder what that means. Like it probably is something different than what I thought it would mean. Like I don't know if it meant like he lived like further in the interior of China now.
All I know is
I was like, did that Tibet stuff happen? Was he living over there? Like
all I took it to mean was he doesn't live in the city.
Yeah.
That's all I can take from that.
Yeah.
He's not a city boy.
Yeah. You know, country bumpkin, as he's described.
And it is funny, like how like the movie starts so seriously, then ends so dramatically. Where by the end, it's like a bunch of people are dead, and he goes to the girl who's kind of in love with him. And he's like, "I must go," and just walks off into the distance alone.
It's awesome. It's like my job is here now. It's done now. On to the next adventure.
I must go.
Yeah.
He went the way of the dragon.
He did.
The dragon's that way.
Yeah. Well, he describes like two of his moves at the beginning of the movie as like dragon whatever.
Dragon whips his tail.
Yeah, you know, like these movies are interesting to watch because like, you know, they're kind of so foundational for like a lot of other movies to come.
That's
like,
true.
I always forget, like, you know, these movies are from the 70s, like early 70s, so in some ways, like, it's just like, well, nothing like this existed ever before these. I mean, I think there were kung fu movies, but, you know, not quite the way these movies are.
It kind of feels like Bruce Lee took it to a new level.
Yeah.
brought it to a wider audience.
Yeah, I mean, like, just with the way he executes his moves so fast.
Fast and brutal.
Yeah, seriously.
He'll punch a guy in the dick.
He will punch a guy in the dick. I was shocked when he did that. I was just like, what about honor? It's just like, screw
They're
honor.
criminals.
Yeah.
They don't deserve honor. They
No.
deserve to get punched in the dick.
Yeah. That is pretty insane, though. But overall, I think Way of the Dragon is pretty cool.
It's worth it just for the fight scenes alone.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting. And I don't know what else to say about it. It's fun.
Absolutely.
I guess that's Out of Touch podcast for this week. Go watch Way of the Dragon.
Or Fist of Fury!